I want to get your opinion on the Tyreek Hill situation, man. How you feeling about it after seeing everything that came out, all of everything?
He had the best celebration of the year, and we only on week one. I said, I know not. I know we're not doing that, Tyreek. Come on.
No, let me. Oh, go ahead.
I kind of been paying attention, but I haven't. A lot of stuff ain't my business. But
okay, I respect
that. That nigga be niggaing sometimes. So like,
oh, okay.
Let me run this by you. So let me give you a scenario, because I know at the end of the day, I always want to get home. So I ain't really trying to antagon people. But some people are bold and they feel like, they're gonna do some things because they want to.
Yes.
So you get pulled over, right?
Gang.
All right. Also pull up to your window. He already a little hostile, weird. And you give him your stuff, but then you roll your window back up. And he asks you to roll it back down, and you don't do so. He knocking or whatever. And then things go real south for you. But at that point, right before all that happened, you did have a choice before it all went down. Not saying that not saying that everything that happened to him needed to happen to him, because I absolutely do not agree with anything that happened to Tyreek. Right. But I do think he had a choice in the matter before, bumping it up a notch. But, I just want to get y'all's opinion on that. Now I give you a little bit more insight, Durante. Also, I guess more insight is Tyreek's windows are blacked out. You cannot see in the car.
Not like 99% tint, Durante. Like it's black.
Yeah, Florida, you can have them black, and they can't really get you for that. But
as an officer, if you gonna let somebody let their window back up and they fully blacked out, you never know. Hey, they might have that thing in there.
So
that's correct. I don't. In some cases, depending on how it escalated, if we're going to be honest about it, I know some people are like only see color in this whole situation, but let's just be honest about the shit.
Yeah, no. So here's my take on as a person that's of both races. I give you this thing, even though the arresting officer wasn't of my race, but I get confused in it sometimes, so it works. It is what it is. It is what it is. It is what it is. I just say this. I've been stopped by the police. Okay. Now, does anybody like to be stopped by the police? No. However, I understand if I'm being given a lawful command to just keep my window down, because he didn't need to be thrown on the ground the way he was. However,
absolutely,
Tyreek had a business decision he needed to make. And no offense to Tyreek, I think he's a great athlete, a good NFL player, a champ. We know Tyreek's
too, for real.
We know. Well, that depends. We know Tyreek's judgment ain't the best based on what his woman said, right?
Well, so never mind. He's too dark out here in these streets,
right? So what I'm saying is, if a man, here's the thing. Here's my thing. I'm not worth what Tyreek's worth, right? So I value my life enough that if somebody knocked on the window, they were a law enforcement officer, and they have, I'm just going to comply with them and be reasonable, right? Just be reasonable. Keep my window down, keep my hands on the steering wheel. I'm going to be reasonable. I'm a regular dude. Now, Tyreek made the statement, I'm a regular dude. I'm not a regular dude. Like, what if I wasn't Tyreek Hill? Well, if you weren't Tyreek Hill, you wouldn't feel entitled enough to roll that window back up and do the smart thing. Now, if Tyreek had rolled his window down, if he was compliant with what the police officers were asking him, and again, I'm not saying he deserved to be thrown on the ground, but if he was compliant and then they escalated, that's a different subject. That's a different story. Again, I don't agree with the excessive use of force. However, he was given a lawful command, and my man was just like, I'm rolling my window back up and stop knocking on my window all hard. And the officer actually asked him kind of very nicely, to at least I thought, hey, man, don't roll your window back up. Like, leave your window down. He asked him twice. It was the other officer that came
aggressive. They look aggressive.
Well, the second officer was aggressive. He came opening the door up like the Kool-Aid man.
Oh, yeah, that was crazy. Like, she said, do you think I would have gotten thrown down if I wanted my window up? No, I don't actually.
No, but here's the thing. Here's the thing, Warrior Widow.
Jokes, I gotta stop, man.
And here's the thing, and I agree with you. You're right, you wouldn't. But here's the thing: as a black man in America, and I know we shouldn't live in a world where this has to be a thing. but we learn the stuff to do to keep ourselves safe as best we can when we interact with law enforcement. Should we live in a society where we have to do that? No. However, the reality of the society tells us that we do have to take these things into consideration. We see the news. We know what time we live in. We know what time we've been living in. So we do our due diligence to do the right thing and put ourselves in a situation to succeed. I can't say that Tyreek really put himself in that situation to succeed. He thought because he was Tyreek Hill, because he actually name dropped. He said, well, I'm Tyreek Hill. Sir, I understand you, Tyreek Hill. We still have to enforce the law. The law, and this is the important piece that we have to take away from this, I think. Again, I'm not with Tyreek getting tossed on the ground, but at some point, and this is true even now, and I've said this before, we have a problem in this country with authority. We have a problem with people who abuse authority, but we also have a problem respecting authority. Now, the problem is sometimes people abuse it, so we don't respect all authority the way that we should. And in this instance, you had two people that maybe didn't use authority correctly and didn't respect authority enough. Man. But we have, and if we look ourselves in the mirror, and it's so hard to do the self-work, we have a problem with authority. We have a problem being told what to do. And sometimes the people that are telling us what to do don't have our best interests at heart. So it's like it's a cycle. We don't trust it because they don't do right by us. And it's a cycle. But there are good police officers and there are people who are compliant. We know that because they exist. But the problem is when we get in these isolated situations, the people with authority don't use their authority appropriately. And the people who should be respecting authority sometimes don't respect authority.
Mind you, have these. Old boy and his henchmen, because that's what I'm gonna call them in this particular case. They are people that would be profiled as well. So it's so crazy that they would even treat him like that, because they also can get profiled as well and end up in a very similar situation. But they knew who Tyreek was because they acknowledged it. But Byron, I'll give you a chance to speak on it, and then we'll run smooth right on up off of this.
I think he hit all the points, He was told to roll the window down. I think he may have, because in those sports cars, if you just most cars now, if you just hit the button, it rolls the window either all the way back up or all the window back down. So he could have just tried to roll the window down a little bit and pop it back up just to crack it, and it could have went back up.
Well, that might be true, but in the video, when he initially gives him his stuff, his window doesn't go all the way down. It goes down some.
Shit.
Yeah.
I don't know. I definitely think he was treated unfairly because they knew who he was. I think they slightly profiled him in that case. And they're like, you think because you got money and you play for the Dolphins that you can defy the law? Well, I'm going to teach you a little lesson real quick. I am the law and you're not above me. So
homie was choking him, though. Homie was choking him. You see that part? When so he was handcuffing, dude jumped on his back.
Yeah. I mean, and Tyreek ain't the biggest dude. Like, he's strong, got a thick neck, but he ain't the biggest dude in the world. So what?
Durante, hold on, before he say Durante, sometimes, bruh.
Man, forget y'all. Y'all know what I'm talking about.
Look, I know what you're talking about. Durante.
I can't do this shit, bro. I really be trying.
Oh man. Anyway, so they were just trying to show that they're stronger than him. People be getting like that. They be trying to prove a point and do what they do. It's unfortunate, and I don't like it. And then he was like, "Hey, I had knee surgery," and they trying to force him down. They trying to re-injure my man. It's like it's ridiculous. It's not
right.
Cool. And then they messed around. Now they out here trying to now get the rest of the athletes that show up in his defense. It's crazy. I don't appreciate it. But Tyreek definitely could have probably avoided a lot of this if he would have somewhat tried to comply. I get it, but it's still wild. We shouldn't live in this place.
Right.
But it is what it is.
No. You the one walked in the classroom and looked at me. I was minding my good black business. I was over here being a good student in the podcast. I looked over at you, and you gonna look at us.
Oh man, bro, I couldn't hold it.
And the worst part is, you said nothing but laughed, and we already knew where you was at with.